Is it really possible to heal yourself through meditation? Now, I'm sure there's a community of professionals and academics out there that think you might be just a little bit crazy to think that way. I mean, what do you think? Is it possible? Let's have a chat about it today. Thanks for joining me. I'm Darren and welcome to Entreprelearners, where together we learn and grow our entrepreneur mindset so we can have greater success in life and in business. A bit of an update before we jump into today's video. I mean, how's your week been? Are you on track with your work and life balance? I mean, we're 3 weeks into the new year already, and I hope you're chipping away at your goals for 2020. This week's been a little bit up and down for me. I mean, the start of the week was really good, but by the mid-week and sort of towards the end of the week, I'd kind of fallen off the wagon a bit with the meditation and general motivation. So I guess that just makes me normal. It has been pretty difficult to regather my drive, but I am getting there. So let me know in the comments how you pull yourself out of those down periods and get back on track. I'd love to hear your thoughts around the subject. In today's video, we cover more around healing and meditation. I'm really finding out the immense power of the mind and how if we can just tap into it, a whole new world awaits us. So I'm keen to find out more, and I was lucky enough during the week to have Sarah Corzabar come into the studio, and we sat down and we had a really good chat about it. Sarah's a local to the Sunshine Coast and runs a business called Akasha Physio and Yoga. She's a trained physiotherapist and yoga teacher, where she combines both practices to offer unique classes that address both the body and the mind. I'll put all of her details in the description, so make sure you check out her website. Anyway, let's dive in. It does run for a little bit longer this week, but there is some pretty awesome content, so stick around. Plus, I have a little bonus for you waiting at the end, so make sure you hang around and check it out. Sarah, why don't you tell me a little bit about what you think meditation means to you? I know sort of what I've from my short experience with it. For me, it's just like finding that inner peace. But I'm always interested to hear from other people what their thoughts are around, what they think it is and what it means to them.
Thank you. Yeah. For me, it's about coming to a place of stillness and the relative silence with which to listen to the whispers of the soul. So I actually use that for my entrepreneurial endeavours as well. So decision-making in life or directions to choose to go in business, I will often come back to a meditative process to still myself, especially if it feels there's no way forward or a real toss-up between decisions and I can't make my mind up. I'll actually come back to a meditation to see if I can find some answers. It's also helped me with healing through my body. I've had a number of sporting-related injuries over the years, and it's been useful, I think, as a resource just to dig that little bit deeper within to find some energetic clearances that you can get with meditations. Mm-hmm. So working with the chakras as an example for a healing style or a clearing or cleansing of your etheric body, which is an energy body that we all have. And I've used meditation to help me sleep. So I've had some hormone-related insomnia patches, and probably most women that are perimenopausal or menopausal can relate to that. So I found certain meditations to be really super useful in that instance as well.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier where we sort of, we can look at there's that practical benefit of meditation, and you mentioned that there's that separation between practicality and spirituality.
Yeah.
So talk to me a bit about that.
Okay, so
what you meant by that.
Yeah. So on a practical level, I guess when you're just starting meditation, it can be hard enough to. Probably the first thing people are challenged by is the mental chatter. So I think it's important to find a time of day, a place and a space that you've done what you need to do so that you're not thinking, oh, did I do that? Or, whoops, I forgot to, So you don't want to be disturbed, phones off, that kind of thing. And then following the breath is probably the next most practical aspect that I would encourage people to look at using. And once you have gone into a quiet space, a mind quietened space, there's usually a sense of expansion that comes. And that might be not every meditation. So another thing is dropping the attachment to an expectation of an outcome. So not every meditation might have you feeling like, wow, I've just solved all these big problems. That can come over time and practice, just like everything else. You know, our teeth don't get cleaned just by the one cleaning of the teeth. We do it regularly to get the effect we want. So from a more spiritual aspect, for me, the practice of meditation is about coming back into contact with my deeper inner essence, my true nature, my spiritual nature. And by using techniques which might be yoga, which might be other tools, maybe a guided technique, or maybe a music at a certain frequency, to help me calm the mind. Breathing is probably one of the best ones, and it can be with or without yoga. Then I believe that we're actually asking the ego to quieten down. So that's the other side of us that we all carry. And the judgments, the comparisons, the criticism, any of that sort of voice can drop away, which leaves us perhaps observing some reactions that we might have if we're sitting. Oh, I'm starting to get a bit uncomfortable, you know, like, God damn, I thought I'd do this for 20 minutes today and look, it's only 10, you know. So just observing ourselves and seeing ourselves as we are and what our reactions or responses are around anything. Lots of different things come up in meditations. It's not possible to empty the mind. That's probably another thing I'd like to touch upon, because it's not one of the activities of the mind is to be empty. But what we can do is slow the thoughts down and increase the space between the thoughts, and then see ourselves as the person who's generating those thoughts and what might be behind those.
Yeah, so it's almost like that. Someone else explained it to me that you've got. And it's interesting that you say the word ego, because you know, I was only talking to one of the ladies at work today, and we were talking about a particular customer, and she said that it sounds like he was speaking from ego, you know, because there was that you know, a defensiveness and whatnot about, you know, what we were saying, and you sort of mentioned how it's I guess we can kind of have that flight or fight response, you know, and you know, and that's just that innate sort of ability that you know, that's just been passed on from you know, genes and all that sort of stuff. Because that's, you know, back in the day, I guess, a long time ago, that's probably were our only two options. Is, you know, we're going to fight this, or we're just going to run and save ourselves. So yeah, I think, you know, what you're saying about the ego is very relevant, and it kind of sort of leads me, you know, into it, like, you know, I'm nearly 50, and for a long time, my perception of meditation was that it was, you know, and I mentioned this in my first video, that I thought it was a bit airy-fairy, or it was something that was designed for really spiritual people, but that's totally not the case. I mean, can you share with me a bit, because I guess you would experience that a lot in your practice as well.
Yeah. I remember doing a series, a meditation series about 10 years ago that was a weekend per month for a year. And in that training, we were encouraged to meditate daily. And I used to think, how can I fit this in? You know, meditate daily, oh wow, you know. And now I've got to the point where I can't imagine a day without meditation. I think for the modern day, so you were talking about fight or flight before, and I think that our lives are so stressful now that we are often in fight or flight mode. So that's not the relax, digest and rest phase of life. And it's not because we're being tracked down by a bear or having to hunt for our food. It's actually just because we're being so stimulated or hyper-stimulated with life. There's choices everywhere. There's information overload. Everything's going faster. The internet's a good example of that with communications. So in this modern day and age, I think one of the best things we can do is slow ourselves down. Take time out to remember who we are. And I think that's one of the greatest things that meditation can give you, is that time with yourself, for yourself, by yourself. It's a very private practice, so everyone will have a different way of approaching it or recommending it, or time of day, as we were touching upon before or after certain other activities. Maybe going back to the question about the practicality of it. Some people will sit, maybe that is the most recommended position, but not everybody is able to sit comfortably for a length of time, depending on the time you want to meditate. Personally, because I have a back problem, I am more comfortable lying, and I do my meditations lying down.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was going to ask that because, just the practice that I've been it was just a guided one. It was even just sitting in a chair. So that's what I do, is just sit in this chair, because it is comfortable. I did try the let's cross the legs, and because that's what you see, and the lotus position, I think, what they call it, and it just wasn't comfortable. So I think that's important, like you say, is to be comfortable. Yeah.
The interesting thing about yoga is that all the asanas are only to help you sit comfortably, really, to meditate. So yoga is actually not about the postures, it's about the mind. I know we're not here to talk about yoga today, but my background has come through yoga into meditation that way. And the value of the addressing any physical issues to sit more comfortably is obvious with the position you choose to stay in, if it's going to be for 20 minutes or half an hour. So that's something that you need to be as comfortable when you're meditating.
So before we dive a little bit deeper into what I really sort of want to talk about, which is meditation and healing, can you just sort of share with us a little bit more about your background and how you've come to this point?
Sure. So when I was about 7 or 8, I knew I wanted to help people, and I took into a hospital with my mum some oranges that I had individually wrapped up, and we were going to visit someone in hospital, and I took in a basket, and that was my gift to each of those people in the hospital beds that I could find. So I've followed that path and become a physio about 30 odd years ago. Then I've had my own injuries and found that I've needed to try to help myself through a healing process. Really, those injuries were a visitation, if you like, or I see them as that, as an opportunity to go a little bit deeper than what my physical body was. So I did end up doing some spiritual studies at a school in Melbourne. And as I was healing and finding that I was really helping myself through various avenues, I studied them. And one of them was yoga 10 or 11 years ago. So after I wanted to help everybody else, then coming into needing to help myself, I've come through that healing journey, or really transformation, which has been a spiritual journey, and I've come out wanting to help others to help themselves. So my work these days is really to find that place where people will find their own answers, and I see what I do is as a facilitator, just to empower that process. And I see myself as just guiding people to find their own voice, inner voice, their own internal navigation system, because that's where the healing will come in for them.
Yeah. All right. So through your business, tell us a little bit about your business.
Thank you. So I run a physiotherapy clinic from a room in my house, and I run a studio for classes. So I incorporate physiotherapy, yoga, Pilates and fitness with some of the neuro-linguistic programming, training and healing modalities that I've used or learned over the years. So I see people one-on-one. I run 2 styles of classes, or maybe I could consider 3 now. One is a fitness-based class, so more of the fitness, Pilates, physio slant for injured people. And then a yoga class, which also has a physio input for injured people, so they can not think they can't go to a class, because I want them to feel the benefits of it.
Yeah.
And then I've added a healing circle to the yoga class. So all of them have meditation at the end.
That was going to be my next question, is how do we incorporate meditation into that? So tell us a little bit about how that works.
Yeah. Well, for the fitness style class, which I've called Physio Fit, it's half an hour of strength training, body weight strength, mostly some light weights, fairly simple things that you find you've got at home. Balance training, core stability, I love adding that to every class. And then that might be 40 minutes, half an hour, 40 minutes, and then the remainder of that hour is made up of yoga-inspired stretches with yoga breathing, and maybe an education session if everybody wants to do something on their neck that day or their backs that day. So then I'll insist that the last 15 minutes is relaxation and meditation. So some of the stretches have already taken us down to the ground, and it doesn't take long to watch everybody's energy slowly settle from being up doing things to just calm down on the mats, breathing, and then deeper stuff. And the difference of when people walk into the room, just sort of here, there and everywhere, maybe worried about something or, just high energy, and the activities of the class and the first part are like that, and they calm down. So towards the end, anyone that's come into me at the beginning and said, I've got this going on in my life, or, I watch the demeanour and it's just changed completely. And it's as if there's a big shift towards tapping back into that deeper reserve. Yep. So the cup's been filled again, and it's almost as if that problem, it hasn't gone away, but their attention on it has shifted or changed, and it's as if it's been able to take a back seat. And so if some people have got things going on in life that are always there, it might be a disabled family member, or, looking after someone that is sick. And that style of class will bring a relief to that person who's under a chronic stressful situation. It might bring an answer to someone who's been juggling up their own decision making. The yoga class is more an hour of traditional yoga style, but with modifications for anybody who's got bodily issues and aren't so sure they're going to cope in a regular yoga class. And then if it's a straight yoga class, which I call physio yoga, there's 15 or 20 minutes of meditation at the end. And if it's the healing circle style, there's half an hour at the end. So I take people more on a guided meditation journey in that one. And that's where the deeper healing work comes in.
So let's dive a bit deeper on the healing side of it. How do you feel that meditation helps with the healing process?
Well, I think if you were to Google any of the Western parameters of measuring the benefits of yoga, there's always going to be things mentioned like lowering of blood pressure, lowering of heart rate, reduction of brain waves, or brain activity. And I think you can measure all of those things. So anybody out there could look up the benefits, the measurable, westernised sort of objective measures of meditation. On a more Eastern, perhaps, philosophy or esoteric or spiritual viewpoint, the soul is the source of everything, wisdom, energy, and your own innate connection with that source is what will provide answers and help you to maybe bring them into your consciousness help you to see something that you didn't see, or may have a realisation about something. You could take meditation a step further, which might be going into what some people could perceive as to be the airy-fairy side of things, but the more I'm involved with meditation, the more I'm seeing it as a real amazing adjunct, and that is really addressing or connecting with angels and angelic powers and other beings that have that capacity to provide that healing that enormous spirit is able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's healing both physically and mentally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On all levels. So I would consider the human body to have mental. So I'd start with physical, mental, emotional. The etheric is then the energy body, the chakra system, if you like to think of it like that. And then the spiritual body or higher self is another sort of extension from that. So that's the overseeing soul of that each of us has.
So leading into that, what are some of the other benefits that you see from practicing meditation?
For me, I think I am putting myself first. So in that moment that I choose to go into a meditation, I'm choosing myself. So first of all, it's reinforcing a self-love, a self-worth. Yes, I am worth this time out. That would be the first thing. And following from that, just a calming effect. So I would probably normally be known as a bit of a type A personality and someone who's just always had that energy. I've got a lot of things on the go, yet to come into a meditation will slow me down. So I am needing or finding that it's very beneficial to slow myself down at regular intervals during the day. And it might be that if I'm having a busy day and I'm about to get in the car and I'm running a bit late, that I will actually sit and breathe and kind of just take myself back a step and slow down. Yeah. So I think that calming and slowing is the next thing that happens for me. And once I've gone into that space that is almost beyond the room, beyond, this existence, there's a space that, and it usually might be with very little mind chatter by that time. So that's usually the deepest space I'll go, where it might be after a yoga class or it might be after yoga combined with meditation. I might just have little voices, little messages. If there was something going on for me that day, at the beginning of the practice, I might ask for an answer, but I'm not searching through my mind for an answer. I'm just dropping into a heart space and allowing my breath and just the beingness, the stillness, to let that answer come in. I've used it a lot for my own healing work, and that might be a little bit more guided meditation. I find that really helpful. I've studied a few different people, and I think we all have our own preferences as we come across different ways of either doing meditation or guided meditations. Insight Timer is a wonderful little
I have heard
app.
of that app, yeah.
So I was really thrilled when I came across that and started using that. So there are some amazing meditations to do that deeper inner work that I was talking about before. Yeah. So I've used some sound healing to have healing experiences with my body, and that's like a fairly deep meditation with breath work to take you to another place that it's very much where you're present, but you know that the work is, well, the sound in that instance, the energy of the sound is just able to move through you.
Yeah.
So Lots of a variety of things.
Yeah. Well, what we might do is, if it's okay with Sarah, we might put together a couple of little sessions that Sarah can take you through. If you're open to that, Sarah, we can do that. Yeah.
Love to.
Now,
Thank you.
if people want to find out more about you and your business, how do they do that? Where's the best place to look?
Thank you. So I have a Facebook page called Akasha, which is spelled Akasha, Physio and Yoga. I have a website which is now Sarah Korziba, so my last name is spelled Korzeba. And both of those have Facebook pages, but the website is Sarah Korziba.
Well, we'll put all those details in the description down below, so make sure you check those out. And Sarah, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
It's a fascinating subject, and I feel I could probably sit here and talk all night, but we probably got other things that we've got to get done.
That's right.
So thanks again for your time.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Okay, wasn't that awesome? Now, I'm sure I'm going to be getting Sarah back in to talk more about what she does and how we can all benefit from unlocking our minds. I mean, just think of the possibilities. What do you want to do better this year? Pop it down in the comments. I'd love to hear all about it. And as always, if you're finding this content valuable, make sure you hit the like. And if you want to stay up to date when I bring out new videos every week, just click on the subscribe and also that little bell icon just to make sure you get those notifications. Now, as promised, I do have a little bonus for you. The link is up here, and Sarah has kindly agreed to do a personalised meditation session for Entreprelearners viewers, which is pretty cool. I'm sure it'll help you throughout your day when you feel that need to just get refocused. I'll catch you all next week, and until then, I hope you have an awesome week and that you tick off some of those goals you've got set for yourself. And remember, we all deserve happiness and success in our lives. Thanks for watching, and ciao for now.